Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/Rogue Matter and facebook.com/We Are Rogue Matter. Join the movement. Go Rogue, roguematter.com. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my cohort in crime, the Lord of the Radio, Mr. Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
What's up?
Yeah, it's funny. So I was out in LA last week and I come back and it's snowing today because, it's actually after this show is over,
70 degrees a day ago.
I know, right? It's crazy. I had to go. Oh, don't get me wrong. I barbecued. We literally had a block party on my street because it was like 70 degrees and it was, still wintertime. But after this, I'm going to a holiday party that was rescheduled from January. So I think God knew that it was going to snow, or he knew we were going to a holiday party and was like, I'll give you a holiday setting. And that's what he did. Gave us some snow. Gave you some cold weather, right?
Yeah, yeah, he did. That was really nice of him after suddenly dropping a 70-degree day in the middle of
270 days.
That doesn't get anybody sick or anything like that. It's not like I
made it through unscathed. I think my body is ready. You know how like just if it's like a 70-degree day in January, you're kind of like, oh man, it's gonna get me sick. But if it's in March, like birds start coming out and they're just like, no, it's spring. Like we're good. Like we're good. We're primed and ready. I think our bodies are just in tune. I did. Works in mysterious ways.
I'm not ready for spring.
You're never ready for spring, though. Who cares?
I don't like spring. I don't like the warm weather. Period.
Are you ready for some exciting Rogue Matter news before we jump into our feature?
Let's hear some exciting Rogue Matter.
I am working tirelessly on a brand new website.
That's a bold statement.
Oh no, I was up till like 11:30 last night. We're moving.
How did you know you were being tireless though?
Because I was pretty tired by the end.
So if you got tired, that's not tireless.
Well, I was tireless up until the point I got tired, it was a pretty long day for me.
All right, fair enough. Okay.
So we're going to be launching to a new platform. We're going to be launching a mobile app very soon. I am working tirelessly with the tech team out in good old CA, and we are going to be doing a lot of cool things. Working on a new e-reader for everything that's going on. We've got new projects coming on. We've got a couple projects coming on Rogue Matter that I am very, very ridiculously excited about. I was reading them on the plane, and I think they're going to be really cool. I can't really disclose much more, but I will disclose soon. And as always, everything on Rogue Matter totally free. So go check it out. It's going to be pretty amazing. That's all I got.
That's good. That sounds like enough.
Slowly but surely, COVID made a dent in us, but slowly but surely, Rogue Matter is coming together as an actual company that does real things.
It'll be good to see.
Besides this podcast.
Yeah, it would be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I can tell from that reaction right there.
This is my reaction to everything.
This is very true.
You know what? See, here's the thing. If I start jumping up and down and going, this is going to be fantastic, then you're going to be like, well, what's wrong with you? So, I mean, there's no way to win. So I'm just going to
Are you having a stroke right now?
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it the way it usually is and be like, yeah, that sounds pretty exciting.
How am I supposed to call for 911 while we're recording the podcast? Like that would be, I'd be like, damn.
You don't even know my address. So, I mean, you wouldn't even be the one to call. You'd have to call someone who knows me, who knows my address.
I bugged you a while ago. Remember when we had those in-person events? Like I got a spider tracer on you.
Ah, okay. That explains quite a bit, as a matter of fact.
It does, right?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
Then I sold the information to Google. All right. We had a fantastic opening weekend for the Batman. We'll start quick with the box office. Opening weekend, I think opening weekend was 128. Something to that extent, something ridiculous.
A little higher than Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's opening weekend.
Yeah.
And look where Spider-Man shot up to. So I mean, everyone's that's the sad thing about this stuff is that if Batman doesn't make $1 billion, they'll kind of call it a failure.
Mm-hmm.
even though it opened bigger than the movie, the previous movie. You
Yep.
know, that's I think that's too bad that we're at that place where we're not like, hey man, pandemic prices, pandemic situation, giant opening weekend,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is great, but
Yeah.
there's already people talking about, well, will it get to 1 billion though? It's already starting to taper off. Oh man.
I don't really care so much if it does or not. What I was happy about, because I do fall in that camp of, did we need another, Batman movie after, what can a new Batman? Let's put it this way: what can a new Batman movie actually bring us? And I'll give the warning to everybody. This is spoilers. We're going to talk about the actual film itself. We'll try to keep it as spoiler free as we can, but no guarantees. I was in the camp of, same thing with Spider-Man, right? Like, oh my gosh, another Spider-Man movie, another Batman movie. At what point, did the returns just diminish to where we don't, what are we going to get out of seeing another Batman movie? There was questionable casting, right? I mean, everyone kind of uproared. I did not do the questionable casting routine because now, first time, shame on me. Second time, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Michael Keaton was questionable casting, turned out to be great. Heath Ledger was questionable casting, turned out to be great. So anytime anybody gets cast in a movie at this point, I don't even flinch. Like, I just say, I'll wait and see before I deem it like, oh, Ben Affleck was another one too, where we were all kind of like, whoa, I don't.
No, not all. That was a reaction, but not all of us.
I had the reaction of, I was skeptical. I can't lie. I was skeptical. I was optimistic, but I was skeptical about Ben Affleck. He turned out to be one of my favorite, and we'll go through our favorite Batman now that we have a new one to add to the ranks a little bit later. But I was definitely in this camp of what's it going to bring, and I'm happy to report I don't care if it makes $1 billion. At the end of the day, it was a 3-hour movie that felt like it went by in 30 minutes, in a good way. That's a very positive thing, and also was just overall just a delight, a delight to be part of, delight to see Robert Pattinson kind of bring a Batman we kind of haven't seen. It was a nice in between of year one versus, what do you call, a more like Ben Affleck. Well, no, Ben Affleck's doesn't even count because he was like a veteran Batman. So kind of like in between Christian Bale and in between like a year one, like I just started out, I'm now Batman. What do I do? And ultimately watching this film, I just kept thinking about the movie Seven. It felt more like a murder thriller movie like Seven that also happened to have Batman in it in a good way. Your thoughts on what I just said?
I kind of have the same reaction to it,
Mm-hmm.
I think it borrowed heavily from the Nolan films. It looked like a Nolan film. It had the same. I think Nolan broke the ground with like the getting away from traditional cinematic lighting, and it had like like primarily like available lighting to the situation, playing a lot with the shadows and the darkness and grittiness and 1970s New York kind of feel for Gotham. Look, I am on record for not liking the Nolan films because that I think they are brilliant films. They're cinematically wonderful films. They're spectacles to behold, but I don't think they're very good Batman movies because I don't like the portrayal of Batman in his 3 movies, all 3 of the Batman. So the Batman, the only thing that the Batman had to do for me is just like make me like actually feel that this guy is a hero. Right. by our terms for the word. I know he is a vigilante. I know he is, he works against the cops just as much as he works against the criminals. But personally, if he comes off like Batman, like someone who's like gonna fix things or gonna, he's gonna show up and things are gonna, he's gonna tip the scales, towards things being a little better for victims. I'm I'm all for it, as opposed to, in my opinion, what Kristen Bale did, where he was almost virtually ineffective as Batman through, especially
he was very
definitely
ineffective.
during,
You're not wrong with that at all.
yeah, definitely during the Dark Knight. He was like one of the most, and it's arguable that 90% of the bad things that were happening in the Dark Knight were happening because of him, because everybody else wanted to get his goat. So, look, I like that we didn't have to, spoilers coming up. I like that we didn't have to see the Waynes die again. I like that. I like that this is 2 years in, and they give us a marked time of how long he's been doing this. I like that he's already established his relationship with Gordon. I like, I like Andy Serkis in anything. So, and there's a long line of really great Alfreds. There's more great Alfreds than they are great Batmen, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
So I mean, all
that
the way
might be our. So we're gonna do a Mount Rushmore of Batman shortly, but we'll have to do a Mount Rushmore of Alfreds next week.
All the way back to Tim Burton's Batman, like all Alfred's. And Alfred's the classic enabler. He's the reluctant enabler, right? Because he's helping Bruce Wayne do all this stuff, but he's constantly telling them, like, why don't you get a life, though, dude? Like, why don't you have a sandwich? You get
that's the typical Alfred, though. That was one thing. I was like, that's pretty. I mean, I guess, look, there's just things you have to do.
But I mean, that pertains to his character, he's just a reluctant enabler. Like, he's like, so
I like that. It's very clinical.
I like the lighting. It did steal the one great thing I think the Nolan films had. The look of the Nolan films is beautiful, and I think this film is comparably beautiful to in comparison to the Nolan films, but also just in general as its own movie.
Yeah.
I did enjoy it. Unlike you, I did think it was a little too long. I think it batted a little longer than it should have batted. It could have batted a little shorter than it batted. It also, oh my God, it also had the Dark Knight detective doing detective work. He did detective work.
Let me comment on that for a second, because everyone prior to the film, I saw it Monday. Prior to the film, that was everyone's non-spoiler comment to me. And meanwhile, I don't want any. I literally don't. I don't even want to know if you liked it or not when it comes to spoilers, because then. The way my mind works, I go deep into your psychosis, and I determine that if you liked it, then I might not, or if you didn't like it, I might, or vice versa.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure, right there.
No, I know,
okay.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so people kept saying, like, "Oh, he gets to be a detective finally." What a low bar that was set in previous Batman movies for him to be doing detective work. He answered a couple riddles that I could answer. So like, and it wasn't even like I was answering, like, and look, I'm not knocking it. I'm glad he was a detective, but it just showed me, and it worked very well. Like I said, I enjoyed everything. I'm not knocking the film for what I'm saying right now. I'm merely commenting on how little detective work was done in the previous films for people to come up and be like, look, I'm not going to tell you about it, but he gets to be a detective in this, and that was a refreshing thing,
This is what I'm saying. It's like, look, he's an authentic character, right? He's a three-dimensional character. I like that he was in the suit more than he was Bruce Wayne. That I'm not looking at a Bruce Wayne movie with who occasionally dresses up like Batman. He's a little emo, but I mean, look, Batman comes from a lot of twisted pathology, so he's gonna have to be emo.
Let me just comment on that a second. The emo part, because I know everyone say because they saw the makeup. He's just wearing the makeup to be dark in the cowl.
But he's calling himself Vengeance, and he's down all the time, and they're playing like Nirvana music.
Well, he's not playing Nirvana music,
but they're playing something in the way as his theme every time he's wandering around or riding around.
That's not emo. That's grunge. It's not emo. Emo was like Weezer back in the day. Go ahead.
He's emo because he's got the Pete Wentz haircut.
Yes.
And he is depressed and emotional throughout the film.
Very good. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's emo.
Okay.
They've got grunge music, but grunge music is the father of emo. So it is.
Emo is the bastard child of grunge.
That does not change what I said.
You're right.
So anyway,
Emo is the Jon Snow of music.
The father is the father, regardless of how his what his social status is. But anyway,
yeah.
So look, it was good. I thought it was a little long, but it was good. Also, it is it has great sequences in it.
Yes.
So the Dark Knight actually does have great scenes in it. You know, the Bat Pod is definitely one of them. The Joker. I mean, the Joker Heath Ledger just chewed scenery through that. He stole that whole movie. Like he stole the trilogy, because the other two movies are less than the Dark Knight because he's not in it.
Yep.
So like the Batmobile scene in The Batman is kind of a great scene. I like also that because there's nothing really super special about the Batmobile, other than it's a muscle car with a jet engine on it.
Yeah.
I like the way they just revealed it. Like, they revealed the greatest aspect of it was that it has a hyperdrive attached to it.
Yes.
That you see it for like 10 minutes revving up, so it's not like a reveal where the tumbler comes out and it's like, oh my God, there's, and I'm not, look, this movie isn't great because it's better than this other movie. I'm not going to shirt all over all over the Dark Knight. I don't like I didn't like the Dark Knight as a movie, but I'm not going to say just because it was better than the Dark Knight, I'm not going to use that as a template for what's great and what's not great. There's stuff in this movie that's great because there's stuff in this movie that's great regardless of what any other movie did.
Yeah.
I even liked the way Patterson looked in the bat suit.
Yes,
which was an issue I had with some other Batman.
The one article that I read prior to the movie, because I'm very good about like blocking out spoilers and things like that, was about how he wanted to make sure that he could turn his neck as opposed to other Batman, and it looked a little different, but it worked. Like it worked to have the kind of cowl, like the collar cowl.
Yeah, because if you got to do it in a certain way, because you're in Adam West territory if you do it the wrong way,
Yes.
and you don't want to be evocative of Adam West's Batman in your Batman. So, look, it was good. The Colin Farrell looked amazing. I like
unrecognizably great. Right?
They revealed like iconoclastic characters without any pomp and circumstance. Like he's just there. It's not like my name is Khan, and there's music playing in the background and all that stuff.
Right.
So that's also awesome. Like the movie isn't trying to be a trailer for the next movie. It's just it's a movie in and of itself. These are the characters in the movie. This is what's going on with these characters. Every character's in this movie because that character plays a role. Not like they're going to play a role in 5 movies from now, but the character is here because he's got dialogue and he's got narrative responsibility. That's also good. It is very sad that we have to break a movie down by those, by that parameter. But you kind of do, I very much enjoyed the movie. There's 1 or 2 things that ruined the movie for me that had nothing to do with the movie, and it's not even.
Who was in the theater? Talk to me. Who was in the theater?
No, it wasn't. It's nothing to do with the film. It's nothing to do with the film at all. It's just the reaction to the film. It's like when, like Christmas morning, you get some great stuff, but your brother's there, and your brother's jealous of the stuff that you got, so he's making, he's ruining the whole experience.
Let me get this straight before we go any further to what you're saying. You don't like it when people are out there like spoiling the movie or talking about the movie. You always say, wait till the movie comes out and let us just enjoy it for what it is. However, then you let, after the movie comes out, the outside world affect your enjoyment of it.
I didn't let it. It just, I was looking for...
See, what happened was
I was looking for mutual experiences, and then I kept running into these things, and then I was like, oh man, and then I just started getting like, like come on. And so, but look, I've not gotten into any Twitter battles or flame wars on behalf of the Batman. Like I'm not, I was just like, all right, so obviously I can't be on the social media, and me are not going to be friends in this particular can. And then look, I thought the movie was great. I didn't think it was Shakespeare. I didn't think it was as great as some other people are making it out to be. I'm happy. Happy it's a solid movie. It's really good, and it's got a solid foundation. I'm happy it's got a lot of movie sensibilities and not franchise sensibilities. And so even if they build it into a franchise, this movie can stand on its own as just a look into the Batman, like a visit to that particular Gotham. And so, all the other stuff can kiss it.
So here's my only negative to the film, and it has nothing to do with the film. And maybe it's not a negative. Maybe it's an observation, right? And maybe there's no right or wrong to it. Paul Dano's performance I thought was fantastic as the Riddler. I didn't know he was the Riddler at first. I was kind of like, "Ooh, wow, that's a real difference." But whatever, it worked, especially when he was just plain old Paul Dano and he looked more like the Riddler there. And I kind of like understood, what he was saying. Again, he puts his mask on, all of a sudden he could be somebody else. And there's really great truth to that in our world, right? I mean, people put on, costumes all the time. They might not be bat suits, but they put on a suit and now all of a sudden they feel better, or they put on, a nice fancy dress and they feel rich, or, they put on whatever. So it was awesome. I thought that was really cool. I'm watching this again. Seven is the movie that keeps coming to mind. And then I started thinking about the Joker and Todd Phillips. And Todd Phillips was essentially saying, I'm not allowed to make a remake of Taxi anymore, but I can make a Joker movie and I could basically do exactly what I want as long as I call this thing the Joker. This wasn't the case here. You could tell both Pattinson and just from interviews I read also after the fact, and Matt Reeves are big fans of Batman. They got Batman right. They got the world of Gotham right. You might not agree with everything, but look, the general sensibility of it is correct, right? But what it's showing me again is it's just proving Todd Phillips right, because I'm sitting there going like, this is a murder mystery thriller, like a serial killer mystery thriller crossed over with a Godfather crime, kind of thriller, and it happens to have Batman in it. And I don't mean that again to knock it. It doesn't just happen to have Batman. I mean, there's a lot of Batman in it. So it's basically a merge of a Batman movie too. But now I'm just thinking to myself, is this the future of movies? Are we essentially never going to get another original movie outside of maybe on streaming, I guess, but in the theater, an in-theater experience to the level we had when we were younger, when, you could introduce The Matrix and it could be something completely brand new, not based on existing IP, not trying, story A told through the lens of, franchise IP B. Do you know what I mean? And I know, and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what the future is going to be, but this is now the second movie where I'm looking at this going, okay, Matt Reeves is a big fan of serial murder movies, and he got to do one, and he called it Batman. This one happened to be really great and happened to get Batman right, but the next one, not maybe from him, but the next filmmaker who comes along and says, I want to make a remake of this, or I want to make this original story, is going to have to funnel it through. And I worry about that. I worry about the future trend.
Yeah. I don't know, but I mean, you got Free Guy, right? Which is not a comic book movie. You had The Last Duel, that wasn't a comic book movie.
By the way, saw that on the plane. Excellent movie.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a bunch of movies that have nothing
flopped
to do with
in the box office, though. Free Guy is an example.
I understand what you're saying, Michael, but that was not your question. You said, "Are we ever going to get them?"
In-theater experience.
But they came out in the theaters.
Yes, but Last Duel is a great example of why studios are very hesitant to make those kind of movies and put for theater now. Last Duel is essentially a streaming movie now, and it's actually found great success streaming. But we're never going to get that in. I feel like the trend looks like we're only going to get superhero movies and or existing IPs. Now, Free Guy is an example in the opposite direction, but even that, why was it so successful?
Or Free Guy was definitely a successful movie.
Why was Free Guy also successful, though? If you think about it, it had a lot of nods to other IP and other pop culture and stuff like that. But mind you, I definitely agree with you. It is an example that my fear might be wrong. But
I didn't say your fear was wrong. I'm just saying that the parameters of your question. There are plenty of movies that are just they're have nothing to do with comic book movies that are out. If you saying, are we ever going to get $1 billion movie that's not a comic book movie? That I could see.
No, I
But
would say $1 billion. You're right. I don't disagree with that. I just think like you're gonna get these filmmakers shoving their movie that
I
they
mean,
want to
everybody
make.
roasted Phillips for saying that,
Yes.
and then saying a real movie. I mean, he had a tremendous bias behind him,
Yes.
and you could speculate like, look, I think Matt Reeves wanted to make a Batman movie.
Yes.
He didn't accidentally make a Batman movie
No,
because he wanted to make.
You can see it. You're right. You can see it.
So I mean, I think there was a lot of intent behind it. Like, so I don't think he was trying to sneak to get anything by us in the process.
Right.
I think it is interesting to have, the Riddler done as a serial killer, as like a Zodiac or something like that.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think it closes the door on a lot of things in doing so. But what
do you mean by that?
Because I mean, look, if the Riddler is this guy going around like, making crazy duck bombs and leaving notes and stuff like that, and trying to put together a brain scan device that steals the thoughts of people from Gotham, you could put him in Arkham and then see him getting out maybe in 6 months. But if this guy's killing public officials,
sure,
like mayors and so if Arkham ever lets him out, that doesn't we're never going to see the Riddler again, basically, in this particular Batman. So I mean, if the more realism that you kind of go for to increase the visceralness of the medium,
right?
Like the problem with Batman, the great thing about Batman, and the problem with Batman also is Batman is very absurd. There's a lot of absurdity.
I agree with you.
There are very few people who can do absurdity credibly.
Yeah.
That's, I think, in my opinion, that's what he tripped over, is that he kept trying to run away from the absurd of Batman. And so that he ran out of road. And that's why Batman doesn't, in my opinion, come off as an authentic, three-dimensional character in that, because, you will, if you want to do a Batman movie that's not absurd, you have to run away from Batman. So Matt Reeves somehow managed to make an absurd Batman movie with the gritty realism, of the Nolan films, but there is still there's still a decent percentage of Batman absurdity in it that you could get behind. That's like, all right, and this works. Yeah. And that's all we want. We know all the elements of Batman. We just want all those elements to be in the film that we watch. That we want all those things to work. Yeah. Because it's a very fine line for Batman not to work.
I agree with you too, and I think this is a good place to wrap up the discussion too. Is that one of the things I was very happy with also was, while yes, this will be a franchise, it felt as if it was very comfortable in its own skin, if that makes any sense. It wasn't, again, it wasn't, like you said, it didn't have to set up the beginning of Bruce Wayne, as if we didn't know who he was. At this point, it was just, you could tell they weren't running on fumes. I mean, always the first movie of any trilogy, it tends to do that, but it tends to do a lot of setup. There was no setup needed for this to be a very, engaging story. And I feel like they can easily, from a creative standpoint, get into a second film in this trilogy and just give us what we are accustomed to getting when we watch the animated series or we read the comics. We get a nice, satisfying Batman tale. You know what I mean? Like that's all. And we doesn't have to do anything besides do that.
I agree with you on that level. I just think it's very difficult for creators to do that because you run the risk of being derivative.
Right.
Everyone's so terrified of being derivative. Yeah. Of like, why am I going to pay, $20 to see Batman, swing from a vine and stop yet another bank robbery? Like, you got to keep upping the stakes in order to make us come out so that we can give you $1 billion. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that's the mentality of most of these people. Like, so this one works because it's another take. Right. You can have 1 billion takes and just see which one sticks on the wall. Right. But then here we go. This is the part I always try to shy away from. The rubber will meet the road when they do a sequel.
I hope they don't do a Joker. I hope Joker stays in Arkham. I really do. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope they kind of go along with what Spider-Man has done, where they said, "Let's get," because
I kind of wish they would have had the guts to make that Jared Leto just to mess with everybody's head, or if they could have said that this was in the same universe as Phillips' Joker, so that could and so you get he is the Batman of the Joker's continuity.
Right. Yeah.
But they just introduced a completely new Joker, and I was like, okay, here we go again.
By the way, the actor, he was in Eternals. He was the Scottish guy in Eternals. The guy who ended up on the. I got to look at the cast here. Oh, Barry Keoghan, Druig. He was Druig.
Oh,
Crazy. Yeah. How about that? All right, what did you guys think? What is your take on the Batman? When we come back, we're going to do a very short but very, very important segment, which is the Rushmore of Batmen when we come back. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Just a reminder, go check out roguematter.com. Everything up there is free. Comics, ebooks, podcasts, videos. Go check out roguematter.com for all the latest. Everything is free. Go read it, consume, enjoy. Join the movement. Go rogue, roguematter.com. All right, we were talking the Batman. We both were very generally positive about it. And what it amounted to, actually like what you said earlier in the segment, but we're going to stick with this just because I came prepared for this. We now have another Batman in the mix. Where do we rank them? And if we don't want to rank them, what is your Rushmore of Batman? Mount Rushmore has 4 presidents on it. If you were to pick 4 Bat actors, who makes the list?
Well, there's only one. Is there only 6 of them?
No. There's 7 of them actually.
No, if you're talking about the animated series, also.
No. Adam West. We have Adam West. We have Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, and now we have Robert Pattinson.
I guess so. There's 8.
7, right? I counted 7. Got my fingers up. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, that's I can't think. And now, if you want to go Kevin Conroy, I'll allow it. Maybe. I think I have to almost, right?
Yeah, that's what I was counting.
Yeah, I would go 8. Kevin Conroy would be 8. I'm gonna allow it. I think you have to. I think he's a definitive Batman. But anyway, your 4 Mount Rushmore Batman.
Michael Keaton, Kevin Conroy, Ben Affleck. I will probably have to say Robert Pattinson.
Ooh, wow! All right. Isn't it crazy that, like, I agree with you 100% on Ben Affleck being. I really hope he reconsiders and decides to become.
Probably not after the success of this. He's not. He's going to double look at that as like, even what he can't, because he won't be able to. If he comes back, it'll be like, oh, so okay, Pattinson's movie is successful, so now suddenly you want back in. It's a negative PR for him. But
I think the Snyderverse gives him that window to get in again, right?
The what?
The Snyderverse cut.
It doesn't matter. Like it's like, people are everybody wants the DCEU to consolidate itself and figure out what its identity is. So if he comes back, that's just going to add to the, to the confusion. I don't think he's going to want to be at the center of that, but he might, who knows? But go ahead.
I think Keaton's a definite. I think Keaton has to be a definite. I think he's still one of the definitive Batmen. I got to go Adam West too, right? I mean, there's no question. Like, Adam West is like my Batman, right? Like, Adam West is it's cheesy Batman, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. There's something about Adam West. So I got Affleck, I got Keaton, I got Adam West. To me, Christian Bale and Robert Pattinson, they kind of like cannibalist to themselves. Like, they eat each other when it comes to it. I got to put Kevin Conroy ahead of him. I'm going to go Adam West over your Robert Pattinson, and I'll put Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy's the voice. I mean, he just is like, and I could just see that Bruce Timm artwork kind of thing. No, that's not Bruce Timm. Bruce Timm was the artist in the comics though. Who did the I'm going to Google this right now. I'm having a brain fart. I was actually really sharp today too, and I can't. Paul Dini, right? Paul Dini isn't he the mastermind behind the animated series?
Yes, I believe so.
There we go. I knew I could do it without having to look it up, and there he is. All right, that's it. This is a quick segment, giving the 4. We want to open it up to you guys. We will be on the Facebook feed all week. We'll be on the YouTube feed all week. Give us your top 4 Batmen. All right, when we come back, we'll go spinning the racks. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. We are creators of comics and lovers of comics and readers of comics, and we like to clue you guys in on the source material that you need to be reading and checking out before it hits the big screen. This is Spinning the Racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
All right, so part of Spinning the Racks that we've kind of transformed this segment into is just giving our love of comic books, right? Showing you the stuff that we enjoyed either out today or in yesteryear. We've covered a bunch of different comics. This is actually probably one of my favorite moments to share with other people right now. But my 6-year-old son, because we've just run through all of his bedtime stories at this point. We've gotten we might as well have a Barnes and Noble in our house of just books, like a children's section. We could probably fill a Barnes and Noble with as many children's books as we've gotten him. But he's getting to that age now where I'm, starting to introduce comic books too and graphic novels. Not that comic books would obviously be ideal for young readers as well too, but we try to stay in the children's book section up until now. I thought to myself, and we were down in my office, and all of a sudden he's like, "What's this book?" And I'm like, "That's Bone, the complete collection, the complete epic collection."
That mammoth book that they
and
have.
So we
released.
started reading that, and man, he is into it, like big time into it. Like, what's the Great Red Dragon? What's a Ghost Circle? What's going to happen to Grandma Ben? For anybody not initiated, so Jeff Smith is creator of Bone. Bone started out in the mid 90s. It's a black and white comic book. It features these little characters, cute, very, very cute. He loves the cute characters. He's a big fan. Mm-hmm. He actually loves the rat creatures because he thinks they're cute also. But and it's this epic. It's this epic cartoon. I think there's no other way to describe it. It's an epic comic book. It's a fantasy meets like not Saturday morning cartoon, like fantasy meets like Sunday comics vibe to it, because the Bone characters look like they could be on a Sunday comic book strip. But they inhabit a world of humans and dragons and spirits and rat creatures and dreams, and like it's just amazing. It really is. And to see him dive into this book and just like, we read like 40 pages a night, like easily.
Wow, nice.
I mean,
that's a lot of pages for a kid to sit still for.
Oh my God. And he's just like, what's going to happen? So we're about 2/3 of the way in. We're almost done with it. And I'm just very excited to get to the end with him, because not only is he enjoying it, I haven't read that story in so long now. I'm starting to remember all the things about it. I remember the first third of the chapter really good, but because those were the single issues. But I tapered off. I stopped reading it after a while because he was late with coming out with new issues, and to a point where I kind of lost interest in the story. He went on a tangent at some point, which when you read the whole collection, you realize is not a tangent. It's actually very, very like pertinent to the main story. But at the time, you're doing single issues. It just felt like, what's happening here? Why are we, what's this whole like going in the mountains and meeting this giant cat, this giant lion, and all this other stuff. But it's bringing back a lot of good memories, and also refreshing myself as to how great this series really was.
But the process of like introducing him to a brand new, what for him that's brand new, you're experiencing it all over again, right? In the process of it.
I feel like it's one of those things he's going to end up rereading again when he's like a teenager and having like second, he's going to realize all the stuff he's not getting right now too.
Plus having your dad read it to you, that's got to be pretty awesome. Like, looking at it from his perspective, that's pretty amazing. And you're obviously excited about it, so your enthusiasm is going into him, in the process. So he's going to keep reading that his whole life just because that was an experience his dad gave him.
Yes, I think it's so it is flat out pretty great. And apparently the one thing I kept saying to my wife was like, I can't believe they haven't made this into a movie or a cartoon yet. Apparently it is coming to Netflix at some point.
Of course it is.
But I got to tell you, this will be his first experience of having read something prior to seeing a cartoon now too.
Yeah, and then he's gonna become like all the rest of us, a snobby. He's like, nah, that's not the real Bone. I know the real Bone. So
yeah,
he's got that to look forward to.
I'm handing it all down to him. All right, that was our show for tonight. Next week, maybe we'll do the Mount Rushmore of Alfreds. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Obi-Wan Kenobi. We got that trailer that just came out. That looked pretty dope. We got a lot of stuff to cover. We will see you guys next week. Rogue Wave.